Captain Lisa Warren stared out the viewport of her scout ship, the Meridian. Her hands gripped the edge of the control panel so hard her knuckles turned white. What she was seeing couldn't be real. "Record everything," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear twisting her stomach. The small crew of 12 moved quickly, each person doing their job even as the horror unfolded before them. On the planet below, the new alien species called the Centauri moved like a wave across the landscape. They looked like giant insects with metal skin that shimmered in the planet's sunlight. Their 6 legs carried them forward while their 4 upper limbs wielded weapons unlike anything Lisa had seen before. The Centauri had appeared 3 weeks ago at the edge of Galactic Coalition space. No one knew where they came from. No one could talk to them. They simply arrived and began taking over worlds. "Captain, they've spotted us," said Eric, the sensor officer. His face had gone pale. "They're launching something toward us." Lisa didn't hesitate. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of their range." The Meridian banked hard, its engines straining as the pilot pushed them to full power. But the Centauri weapons were fast. 3 glowing projectiles streaked toward them. "Shields up," Lisa ordered. The first hit rocked the ship. The second caused alarms to blare throughout the bridge. The third tore through their shields like they weren't even there. "Damage report," Lisa shouted over the noise. "Decks 3 and 4 breached," reported Maya, the second in command. "We've lost 6 crew members. Engines at 60%. Lisa closed her eyes for a brief moment. 6 people gone in an instant. She wouldn't let their deaths be for nothing. "Keep recording," she said. "The Coalition needs to see what these things can do." On the main screen, they watched as the Centauri surrounded a settlement of the planet's native people. The aliens deployed what looked like simple rifles, but when they fired, buildings simply dissolved. People tried to run, but were quickly caught. "They're harvesting them," Eric whispered. "Not just killing. They're taking them somewhere." A second wave of Centauri arrived, carrying mining equipment. They began tearing into the ground with frightening efficiency. They're not just conquerors, Lisa realized. They're strip mining the planets they take, resources and people, both. The Meridian continued recording for another hour, staying just out of range of the Centauri weapons. They watched as Coalition military forces arrived, a small response team from the nearby outpost, and engaged the invaders. It was over quickly. The Coalition ships fired their most advanced energy weapons. The Centauri were hit directly, but their armor simply absorbed the blasts. When physical missiles were used, the aliens' bodies seemed to repair themselves within minutes. "This is impossible," Maya said, her voice shaking. "Nothing should be able to withstand that kind of firepower." The Centauri counterattacked. 20 Coalition ships were reduced to floating debris in less than 10 minutes. "We have enough footage," Lisa decided. "Plot a course back to Coalition headquarters. Maximum speed." As the Meridian prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel, a single Centauri ship noticed them and gave chase. It was gaining quickly. "They're faster than us," the pilot said, fear evident in his voice. "Dump all non-essential power to the engines," Lisa ordered. "We have to get this information back." The Meridian surged forward, the distance between them and the Centauri ship growing slowly. Just as they prepared to make the jump, a final shot from the alien vessel struck their rear section. "Jump now," Lisa shouted as systems failed around them. The stars stretched and the Meridian vanished into FTL speed, damaged but alive. 6 crew members were gone, but Lisa Warren had her footage. The Galactic Coalition would finally understand what they were facing. And what they were facing seemed truly invincible. 6 months had passed since Captain Lisa Warren's report shocked the Galactic Coalition. Now, Admiral Krell stood on the bridge of his massive command ship, watching as another battle ended in defeat. The Centauri had taken 12 more planets since Warren's first sighting, and nothing could stop them. "Sir, we've lost the 3rd Fleet," reported his second-in-command. The Zentari adapted to our new plasma cannons after just 2 shots. Admiral Krell, a tall, gray-skinned alien with 4 arms, slammed one fist against the command console. He had gathered the largest military force in Coalition history. 5,000 ships from 27 different species, the best warriors, the most advanced weapons, all failing. "Show me the latest footage," he ordered. The main screen displayed the recent battle. Coalition ships fired new weapons designed specifically to penetrate the Zentari armor. The first few shots worked, damaging several Zentari vessels. But then, before their eyes, the alien ships and armor changed. The next plasma blasts simply bounced off. "They adapt too quickly," Krell said. "Every time we find a weakness, they eliminate it within minutes." Far away from the battlefield, Dr. Alan Kelly sat in his small office on Research Station Epsilon, watching the same footage. As a human xenobiologist, he was one of the few humans working for the Coalition. Most people on Earth had no idea that aliens existed, but a small number of human scientists had been recruited over the years to work on distant outposts. Alan leaned closer to his screen, stroking his beard thoughtfully. He had been following the Zentari crisis since it began, collecting every piece of data he could find. "Computer, replay the moment when the Zentari armor changes after being hit by the plasma weapon," he said. The screen showed the sequence again in slow motion. Alan noticed something interesting. The alien armor didn't just become stronger. It changed its entire structure to specifically counter the energy signature of the weapon used against it. "They're not just adapting randomly," he muttered to himself. "They're analyzing our weapons and developing perfect counters. Like an immune system, but for technology." He pulled up Captain Warren's original footage next to reports from all subsequent battles. A pattern emerged. The Zentari always let themselves be hit once or twice by a new weapon. They took damage initially, but this gave them the information they needed to adapt. Alan typed rapidly, compiling his observations into a report. He doubted anyone would read it. He was just a human, after all, and not even a military advisor. But he sent it anyway. Back on the command ship, Admiral Krell had called an emergency meeting of the Coalition High Council. Representatives from the 100 most powerful species gathered, their faces grave. "In 6 months, we have lost 23,000 ships and nearly 1 million soldiers," Krell reported. "The Zentari advance continues unabated. They have adapted to every weapon, every strategy we've deployed." Ambassador Xinra, a small blue-skinned being with large, thoughtful eyes, spoke up. "There must be something we haven't tried. Some approach they cannot counter." "We've used every technology at our disposal," Krell replied. "Every species has contributed their most advanced weapons. Nothing works for long." The council chamber grew quiet. Then a junior analyst rushed in, holding a datapad. "Admiral, we just received a report from a human scientist on Research Station Epsilon," she said. "He's identified the Zentari adaptation pattern." Krell took the datapad and scanned it quickly. "This Dr. Kelly suggests the Zentari can only adapt to weapons they've experienced before. They need to be exposed to something to develop immunity against it." Sinra tilted her head. "So we need weapons they've never encountered. Something completely different from anything in the Coalition arsenal." A light seemed to appear in her eyes. "That gives me an idea. Computer, search the database for information on species with unique approaches to warfare, particularly those unknown to the wider galaxy." The computer hummed for a moment. "Search complete. Suggested result: Earth." The Coalition High Council chamber fell silent as the database image of Earth appeared on the main screen. A small blue planet, seemingly unremarkable except for its swirling white clouds and vast oceans. "Earth?" Admiral Krell asked, his voice filled with doubt. "The humans are barely space-capable. They haven't even colonized their own solar system properly." Ambassador Xinra stepped closer to the display. "Yes, but look at this data. Our observers have been monitoring them for centuries." She gestured, and the screen filled with images that made many council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. Humans fighting humans with an incredible variety of weapons, from simple sticks and stones to nuclear bombs. Their history was an endless cycle of war, peace, and more war. No other species in the coalition has such a diverse approach to combat, Shinra explained. Most evolved beyond warfare, or at least settled on a few effective methods. But humans, they never stopped creating new ways to fight. An elder council member named Koros, whose species had been peaceful for 50,000 years, looked disturbed. Why would we seek help from such violent beings? They might be as dangerous as the Zentari. Shinra shook her head. The difference is crucial. Humans fight, yes, but they also create art, music, and literature. They care for their weak, heal their sick. The Zentari only consume and destroy. Dr. Alan Kelly's report appeared next to the Earth display. This human scientist has already helped us understand the Zentari better than our own military analysts. Shinra continued. And he's just one example. Admiral Krell studied the Earth data carefully. Their technology is primitive by our standards, but their tactics. They've defeated technologically superior forces many times throughout their history using unconventional approaches. The Council debated for hours. Some argued that bringing humans into a galactic war was too dangerous. Others felt they had no choice. Finally, they voted. The decision: Earth would be contacted. 3 days later, a small coalition ship entered Earth's solar system, cloaked from detection. On board was diplomat Zara Voss, specially trained for first contact missions. She had spent years studying human languages and customs. Approach with caution, she instructed her crew. We'll make initial contact with their international governing body, this United Nations. Back on Research Station Epsilon, Dr. Alan Kelly was surprised to receive a priority message from Coalition headquarters. He read it twice, not quite believing what it said. They're actually going to contact Earth, he said to himself, based partly on my report. He felt a mix of pride and worry. How would his home planet react to learning they weren't alone in the universe? The Coalition vessel positioned itself in Earth orbit, still hidden from human detection systems. Zara Voss prepared her message, carefully crafting words that wouldn't cause panic. This wasn't just any first contact. They were asking for help from a species that didn't even know the Coalition existed. We should reveal ourselves first to their military and scientific leaders, she decided. They'll understand the threat better than politicians. On Earth, in the Pentagon, General Frank Daniels was working late when all the screens in the command center suddenly went blank. Then a single message appeared. We come in peace and need your help. Your planet is in danger. At first, he thought it was a hacker attack or a prank. Then a hologram appeared in the center of the room, a clearly non-human figure. People of Earth, said Zara Voss in perfect English, I represent the Galactic Coalition of Civilized Worlds. Your species has been observed for centuries, but we have respected your right to develop independently. Now, circumstances force us to break our own rules. A grave threat faces all intelligent life, including yours. General Daniels stared at the alien hologram, speechless for perhaps the first time in his military career. We need soldiers, the alien continued. We need your human way of thinking, because after facing an invincible enemy for 6 months, you are our last hope. Within 24 hours of first contact, the Pentagon's largest conference room was filled with Earth's top military leaders and scientists. General Frank Daniels sat at the head of the table, with science advisor Olivia Martinez beside him. Across from them sat Zara Voss and 2 other coalition representatives. Let me get this straight, General Daniels said, rubbing his temples. There's an entire galactic community out there that we knew nothing about. And now you're facing an enemy you can't defeat, so you've come to us. Zara nodded. The Zentari have conquered 12 coalition worlds in 6 months. Nothing stops them. They adapt to every weapon we use against them. Dr. Martinez leaned forward. And you believe humans might have solutions your more advanced civilizations don't. Precisely, said Zara. Your species takes unique approaches to problem solving. You've developed thousands of different weapons and battle tactics throughout your history. The Zentari have never encountered Earth methods before. General Daniels exchanged looks with other military officers around the table. Some appeared skeptical, others intrigued. Show us these Zentari, he requested. Zara activated a hologram in the center of the table. The humans watched in silence as footage played of Zentari forces destroying coalition fleets and harvesting alien planets. Good God, whispered one admiral. Their armor just adapts to whatever hits it. And they're headed this way? Asked Martinez. Eventually, yes, Zara replied. We estimate you have perhaps 2 years before they reach your solar system. Unless we stop them first. General Daniels stood up and paced the room. What exactly are you asking for? You don't need our technology. Yours is clearly superior. We need your military minds, Zara explained. Your tacticians, your special forces soldiers, your scientists who think differently than ours. We need humans who can create strategies the Zentari won't expect. After 3 days of tense meetings and debates among world leaders, Earth agreed to help. A task force of 100 humans would travel to the coalition headquarters. They would include military specialists, scientists, and unconventional thinkers from around the world. Former Special Forces soldier John Harding was eating dinner at his cabin in Montana when the government helicopter landed outside. He had left the military 5 years ago, preferring the quiet life after too many combat tours. Mr. Harding, said the official who stepped out, your country needs you for a mission unlike any other. At MIT, materials engineer Dr. Carol Peterson was pulled from her laboratory by government agents. Her work on new types of composites and chemical compounds had caught someone's attention. Pack whatever research you think might be relevant, they told her. You're going on a trip. In Louisiana, Major Sam Collins was training new recruits in guerrilla warfare tactics when he received his orders. As an expert in fighting against superior forces, his skills were suddenly in high demand. One by one, selected humans were gathered at a secret facility. None of them were told the full truth until they had all arrived and signed numerous confidentiality agreements. Ladies and gentlemen, General Daniels addressed the group. What I'm about to tell you will change your understanding of our place in the universe. The room fell silent as the truth was revealed. Some reacted with disbelief, others with excitement or fear. But all of them understood the gravity of the situation. You've been chosen because each of you thinks outside the box, Daniels continued. You approach problems in ways no one else does. And right now, that's what the galaxy needs. 3 days later, a coalition ship landed openly at the secure facility for the first time. The human team gathered with their equipment and personal belongings, ready to leave Earth. John Harding looked up at the massive alien vessel and shook his head in wonder. When I joined the Special Forces, I never imagined I'd be fighting aliens, he said to Dr. Peterson, who stood nearby. She smiled nervously. And I never thought my research on rust-resistant metals would be relevant to interstellar warfare. As they boarded the ship, Sam Collins was the last to look back at Earth. Humanity's first space mission, he said quietly. And most of humanity will never even know about it. The human team arrived at the coalition headquarters after a journey that left them all speechless. They had traveled faster than light, seen stars and planets no human had ever witnessed, and met dozens of alien species. Now they stood in a massive command center, surrounded by technology beyond their understanding. Admiral Krell addressed them with Zara Voss translating, though many humans had begun using the universal translator devices they were given. You have 1 month to learn everything we know about the Zentari, Krell told them. Then we need solutions. Dr. Alan Kelly was waiting for them, excited to meet fellow humans after years alone among aliens. He hugged Dr. Peterson and shook hands with Harding and Collins. I gathered all the data we have on the Zentari, Alan explained. Their biology, their weapons, their tactics, everything. The humans were split into teams. Scientists worked with coalition experts to study Zentari physiology. Military specialists reviewed battle footage. Engineers examined alien technology that might be modified in ways the Centauri wouldn't expect. After 2 weeks of intense study, the humans gathered for their first strategy meeting with coalition leaders. "We've noticed something," John Harding said, standing before a large display. "The Centauri adapt quickly to energy weapons and advanced technology, but they've never faced some basic elements from Earth." Dr. Peterson stepped forward. "Their armor can counter plasma charges and laser fire, but we found no evidence they've encountered simple chemical reactions like thermite or white phosphorus." She displayed molecular diagrams on the screen. "These compounds are considered primitive by coalition standards, but the Centauri have no defense against them because they've never seen them before." The coalition scientists looked confused. "You want to fight with chemicals?" one asked. "Exactly," said Peterson. "Sometimes older technology works because it's unexpected." Major Collins added his observations next. "The Centauri always fight head-on. They rely on overwhelming force and their ability to adapt, but they've never faced guerrilla tactics or asymmetric warfare." He showed footage of Centauri battle formations. "They expect direct confrontation. They don't guard their supply lines or protect their command structures because no one has ever targeted them before." The alien military leaders stirred uncomfortably. The concept of targeting non-combatants or supply chains seemed dishonorable to many of them. "On Earth," Collins explained patiently, "weaker forces have defeated stronger enemies throughout our history by being unpredictable. We hit where they don't expect us, then disappear before they can respond." Admiral Krell considered this. "You're suggesting we fight without honor?" Harding shook his head. "We're suggesting you fight to win, against an enemy that shows no mercy. Conventional rules don't apply." After hours of debate, the coalition leaders reluctantly agreed to let the humans test their theories. They provided a small ship and access to materials needed to create Earth-style weapons. Dr. Peterson worked day and night in the laboratory, combining Earth chemistry with alien technology. She created projectile weapons that used simple gunpowder, something the Coalition had abandoned thousands of years ago, but with modern targeting systems. The beauty of this, she explained to a fascinated group of alien engineers, is that while the delivery system is advanced, the payload is completely foreign to the Centauri. Meanwhile, Collins trained a small group of Coalition soldiers in human tactics. They struggled with concepts like ambushes and feints, having been taught to face enemies directly all their lives. "You need to forget everything you know about proper warfare," Collins told them. "Think like a predator, not a soldier." John Harding spent his time studying Centauri communication patterns. He discovered they used a type of collective intelligence, not quite a hive mind, but close. "If we can disrupt their ability to share adaptation information," he suggested, "they won't be able to protect each other from our attacks." After 3 weeks of preparation, Admiral Krell called the humans to his command room. "The Centauri have attacked another border world," he said grimly. "It's time to test your theories in the field." A small ship moved silently through the darkness of space. On board were John Harding, Major Collins, Dr. Peterson, and a team of 8 Coalition soldiers led by an alien commando named Vrax. Their destination, a moon where Centauri scouts had been detected. "Remember the plan," Harding told the team as they prepared their equipment. "We hit them with the new weapons, test their effectiveness, and get out. This is just a test run." Vrax, a tall, gray-skinned alien with 4 arms and eyes that glowed faintly yellow, checked his weapon. The Coalition soldiers had been given modified guns that fired chemical-based projectiles instead of energy beams. "It feels wrong," Vrax admitted, "like going backwards in technology." Collins patted him on the shoulder. "Sometimes the old ways work best. The Centauri expect energy weapons. They won't expect bullets and bombs." Their ship landed quietly behind a ridge on the moon's surface. Scanners showed a small group of Centauri about 2 miles away, examining the moon for resources. The team moved out, staying low and using the terrain for cover, concepts that were new to the Coalition soldiers who were used to direct approaches. "I count 6 Centauri," Vrax whispered as they reached an observation point, all armed with standard harvesting equipment. The alien scouts looked fearsome in their biometallic armor. Standing over 7 feet tall, they moved with powerful efficiency, their insect-like bodies covered in plates that shimmered with an almost liquid quality. "Perfect test subjects," Dr. Peterson said, adjusting settings on a device she carried. "We'll try different compounds and see what works." Collins divided the team into 3 groups. Each would attack with different weapons, then retreat and observe the results. Harding's group would go first. "Remember, hit and run," he told his team. "Don't stand and fight. We're just gathering data today." Harding's group moved into position and aimed their weapons. On his signal, they fired. The new bullets, containing compounds never before seen on a battlefield outside Earth, struck 2 Centauri. Instead of bouncing off their armor, the bullets stuck to it. Then came a chemical reaction. The armor began to bubble and smoke. The Centauri made strange, high-pitched sounds that might have been pain or surprise. They tried to adapt, but their armor couldn't form a defense against the unknown chemicals. "It's working," Harding said into his communicator. "Group 2, you're up." The second team, led by Vrax, attacked from another angle. They fired grenades containing a mixture Dr. Peterson had created from Earth minerals and alien compounds. The grenades exploded against the Centauri with bright flashes of green flame. "Direct hits," Vrax reported. "Their armor is failing to adapt." The Centauri were in disarray now. 2 were down, their armor damaged beyond repair. The others tried to fight back, firing energy weapons toward their attackers, but the human-trained soldiers were already moving to new positions. Collins' team delivered the final attack. They used weapons loaded with a simple Earth substance, thermite, combined with alien metals. The resulting reaction burned through Centauri armor like it was paper. In less than 5 minutes, all 6 Centauri scouts were disabled. The team approached cautiously, weapons ready. "I don't believe it," Vrax said, examining the fallen aliens. Their armor, it couldn't adapt. Dr. Peterson scanned the damaged Centauri with Coalition equipment. The Earth elements confused their adaptation process. They'd never encountered these chemical reactions before. 1 Centauri was still moving slightly. Its armor was trying to repair itself but failing. Harding watched as the alien attempted to send a signal, likely to warn others about the new weapons. "We need to block their communications," he said quickly. "If they alert the main force about our methods, they'll develop counters." Dr. Peterson activated a jamming device she had designed. The Centauri stopped moving. "Did we just win?" Vrax asked, sounding stunned. "Against Centauri." "We won a skirmish," Collins corrected him. "A small one, but it proves our theories work." They gathered samples and data, then returned to their ship. As they left the moon, Harding sent a message to Admiral Krell. "First test successful. Centauri vulnerable to Earth methods. Request permission to expand operation." News of their victory, small as it was, spread quickly through Coalition forces. For the first time in 6 months, there was hope. The invincible enemy had a weakness after all. News of the successful mission spread through the Coalition like wildfire. After months of constant defeat, even a small victory gave everyone hope. Admiral Krell called an emergency meeting of the Coalition War Council. "The human methods have proven effective," he announced to the gathered leaders. "Now we must expand our operations." 3 days later, a much larger ship arrived at Coalition headquarters. General Frank Daniels stepped off the ramp, followed by 50 more human soldiers and scientists. They'd brought crates of Earth materials and weapons that Dr. Peterson had requested. "We came as soon as we got your message," General Daniels told Admiral Krell. "Earth is fully committed to this fight now." The Coalition engineers worked around the clock with the human team to mass-produce the new weapons. Dr. Peterson supervised the creation of special ammunition and explosives using Earth chemicals. Some of the alien scientists were amazed by how simple yet effective these compounds were. Your species found military uses for elements we only use in cooking or cleaning, one coalition scientist told Peterson with a mixture of horror and admiration. Major Collins set up a training program for thousands of coalition soldiers. He taught them guerrilla tactics, ambush techniques, and psychological warfare, concepts many aliens found difficult to understand at first. The Zentari expect you to attack in formation, Collins explained to his confused students. They expect honor and direct confrontation. We will give them confusion and chaos instead. John Harding focused on disrupting the Zentari communication systems. Working with alien tech experts, he developed devices that could temporarily block the signals the Zentari used to share adaptation information. If we hit them fast enough and block their communications, he explained, each group of Zentari will have to adapt independently. They won't be able to warn each other about our weapons. General Daniels introduced another concept that shocked the coalition military: deception operations. He suggested creating fake targets and false information to confuse the enemy. We'll make them think we're attacking here, he said, pointing to a star map, when we're really hitting them there. We'll use decoy ships, false radio signals, whatever it takes. Some coalition species found this approach dishonorable, but they couldn't argue with the logic. The Zentari needed to be stopped, and conventional methods had failed. After 2 weeks of intense preparation, they were ready. Operation Turning Point would target a Zentari-occupied planet in a nearby system. It would be the first large-scale test of human tactics against the invaders. The night before the mission, John Harding couldn't sleep. He walked the corridors of the massive coalition station until he found himself in an observation deck. The stars looked different here, far from Earth, but the sight still calmed him. Nervous about tomorrow? A voice asked. Harding turned to see Vrax entering the room. The alien commando had become a friend over the past weeks, though his expressionless face was still hard to read. A little, Harding admitted. We've had one success against a small scouting party. Tomorrow we face thousands of Zentari with untested tactics on a large scale. Vrax stood beside him, looking out at the stars. Before you humans came, we had no hope at all. The Zentari seemed truly invincible. Now we have a chance. A chance is all we need, Harding replied. Humans are good at making the most of small chances. The next morning, the coalition human fleet gathered near the jump point. 100 ships, all modified with Earth-inspired weapons and filled with soldiers trained in human tactics. General Daniels and Admiral Krell stood on the command bridge of the flagship. All ships report ready, an officer announced. Admiral Krell looked at General Daniels, who nodded. Begin Operation Turning Point, Krell ordered. The ships jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward the Zentari-held world. For the first time since the invasion began, the coalition was on the offensive. The planet Nexus Prime glowed blue-green against the blackness of space. Once a thriving coalition world, it was now a Zentari stronghold. Their massive ships orbited the planet, and their ground forces had spread across the surface. Operation Turning Point began with a series of false attacks. Small coalition ships appeared at various points around the planet, drawing Zentari attention before quickly jumping away. The confused aliens sent ships to investigate each sighting. They're taking the bait, General Daniels said as he watched the tactical display. Their forces are spreading thin, just as we hoped. While the Zentari chased ghosts, the main coalition fleet approached from the dark side of Nexus Prime's moon. They moved silently, using minimal power to avoid detection. Commence Phase 2, Admiral Krell ordered. Across the fleet, soldiers prepared for battle. John Harding and Vrax led a special strike team with a critical mission. They would land on the planet and deploy Dr. Peterson's newest creation, a virus designed to disrupt the Zentari hive mind. Remember, Harding told his team as their ship detached from the fleet, speed is everything. We get in, plant the device, and get out before they can adapt. As the strike team approached the planet, the main coalition fleet finally revealed itself. They attacked the scattered Centauri ships with the new Earth-inspired weapons, chemical warheads, ballistic projectiles, simple explosives combined with advanced delivery systems. The Centauri tried to adapt, but faced too many unfamiliar attacks at once. Their normal pattern of taking a hit, analyzing it, and developing immunity failed when confronted with dozens of different Earth compounds simultaneously. On the surface, Harding's team fought their way toward the main Centauri hive cluster. Vrax moved with incredible speed, his 4 arms wielding human-designed weapons with deadly precision. Earth soldiers and coalition commandos worked side by side, using the tactics Major Collins had taught them: hit and run, never standing still long enough for the Centauri to counter. "There it is," Harding said as they reached a ridge overlooking a massive structure. The Centauri hive pulsed with eerie light, its organic-looking walls stretching hundreds of feet into the air. "Defense systems are stronger than expected," Vrax reported after scanning the building. "We can't get close enough to plant the device." Harding studied the situation, then smiled. "We don't need to get closer. We'll use their own systems against them." He pointed to pipes running into the hive. "Those bring in water and air. We can introduce the virus through their own filtration system." They moved carefully toward the intake pipes. 2 team members fell to Centauri defenders, but the rest pressed on. When they reached the main pipe, Dr. Peterson's device was attached and activated. The virus, created from Earth bacteria combined with alien technology, began flowing into the hive. "Now we run," Harding ordered. In space, the battle reached its peak. The coalition fleet had destroyed nearly a third of the Centauri ships, but was taking heavy losses as well. Admiral Krell watched anxiously, waiting for a signal from the ground team. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we're detecting unusual patterns in Centauri ship movements." On the tactical display, the Centauri vessels suddenly began moving erratically. Some stopped firing. Others changed course randomly. "The virus is working," General Daniel said. "It's disrupting their coordination." Harding's team, safely back on their ship, watched as the effects spread through the Centauri forces. The virus blocked the signals that allowed the aliens to share adaptation information. For the first time, each Centauri had to fight alone, without the collective intelligence that made them so formidable. "All ships, press the attack," Admiral Krell ordered. "Target their command vessels while they're vulnerable." The battle lasted 3 more hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. Without their hive mind advantage, the Centauri could not adapt quickly enough to the unexpected human weapons and tactics. By the end, the coalition had reclaimed Nexus Prime. In the days that followed, similar victories were reported across coalition space. The Centauri, once thought invincible, were in retreat. 1 month later, representatives from Earth were invited to join the Galactic Coalition as full members. At the ceremony, Admiral Krell addressed the gathered species. "We faced extinction at the hands of an enemy that could counter our most advanced technology," he said. "But we were saved by the oldest, simplest solutions from one of the galaxy's youngest species. The humans have taught us that sometimes the most primitive approach is the most effective."